Every morning, before the sun rose, Amina woke up. The small fire in the corner of her hut gave little light, but it was enough to see her mother lying weak on the bed. Her mother had been sick for weeks, and the village healer said she needed fresh water from the river far away. Amina tied her worn shoes tightly. She carried a small clay pot, heavy and fragile. The path to the river was not safe. Tall trees lined the narrow trail, and strange sounds echoed through the forest. Sometimes the wind whispered, and she thought it sounded like voices. Sometimes the branches snapped under invisible feet, and her heart jumped. But she had no choice. Her mother needed water. She left the hut quietly, so she would not wake the villagers. The village was still asleep, the smoke of morning fires barely rising. The first part of the trail was easy, just soft dirt and small stones. But as she walked deeper, the forest grew dark, and the air grew cold. Shadows moved strangely, and Amina held her pot tightly, ready to run if she needed. Birds chirped somewhere above, but not their usual songs. Today, something felt different. A branch cracked behind her. She froze, her heart thumped loudly. "Who's there?" she whispered. No answer came, only the echo of her own voice. She took a deep breath and stepped forward. Her legs were tired, but she could not stop. The river was still far. She had to climb over fallen logs and slippery stones. Every step was dangerous. One wrong move and the pot could break, or worse, she could fall and hurt herself. She remembered her mother's pale face, her soft coughs, and she pushed forward. Fear walked beside her, but courage walked stronger. Amina paused to catch her breath. She looked around. Everything was quiet, too quiet. The forest had its normal sounds, but now they seemed sharper, stranger. She shook her head, trying to tell herself it was just the morning wind. But then she saw it, a small movement between the trees. Something dark and quick, she could not see clearly. Her heart froze. She ran a few steps, trying not to make a sound. The water pot was heavy, but she balanced it on her hip. The movement followed her, or maybe she only imagined it. Every day, the forest seemed more dangerous. Wild animals, thieves, or worse, they did not care about her courage. But Amina had no choice. She could not let fear stop her. Finally, after what felt like hours, she saw the silver shine of the river. Relief washed over her, but only for a moment. The riverbank was uneven, and the stones were sharp. She carefully stepped down. She knelt by the water, filling her pot slowly. Each drop was precious. Each drop meant life for her mother. Suddenly, a rustle came from the bushes behind her. Amina froze. She held her breath, gripping the pot. Something moved closer. She could see a shadow larger than any animal she knew. Her mind raced. Should she run? Should she hide? Her body trembled, but she did not drop the water. Not today. For now, she stayed still, hoping whoever or whatever it was would not notice her. Her eyes scanned the forest, searching for a sign. She did not understand the sounds around her, but she knew one thing. She could not go back without this water. Her mother's life depended on it. Amina's hands shook as she lifted the pot. She started back on the dangerous path home. Every step was careful, every shadow threatening, but she walked with courage. She had faced the forest before, but today felt different. Something was out there, watching her. And she had no idea what it wanted, but she had to keep moving. The next morning, Amina woke with a heavy heart. Her mother's weak coughs echoed in the small hut, a constant reminder of why she had to leave. Today, she thought, the journey to the river would be the same as before. But deep inside, something told her it would not. The forest was quiet as she stepped onto the narrow path. The air smelled damp, and the mist hung low among the trees. Her pot was heavy, and each step made her muscles ache. She moved slowly, listening to the sounds around her. Birds chirped in the distance, But the usual rustle of leaves seemed sharper today, like something was moving just out of sight. Amina reached the fallen log she had crossed many times before. It looked ordinary, but she noticed fresh footprints in the dirt beside it. They were not like the animal's tracks she knew. Human, she realized, but unfamiliar. Her stomach twisted. Who could be in the forest this early? She had never seen anyone here. She paused, holding her pot tightly, trying to make as little noise as possible. A faint sound came from deeper in the woods, a soft shuffle, like someone walking carefully over the leaves. Her pulse quickened. Maybe it was a hunter, or worse, someone who wanted to harm her. She knew the forest could be cruel. Every day brought danger. But today, it felt different. Amina crouched behind a thick tree trunk. She peeked around the bark. A figure appeared, human, but strange. His clothes were simple, yet unlike anything she had seen. He carried a small device that glowed faintly. The light reflected off the trees, making shadows dance on his face. He moved silently, carefully, almost as if he knew the forest better than she did. Her heart pounded. Should she run? She could not leave her pot, though she wanted to hide. The figure paused, looking in her direction. Amina froze, hoping he would not see her. His eyes scanned the forest, sharp and alert. Then, he stepped back, disappearing behind a tree. Relief washed over her, but only for a moment. The fear of being followed returned immediately. Amina continued her journey, faster this time, glancing over her shoulder. The forest seemed alive. Every shadow now suspicious. The rustle of leaves, the creak of branches, even the wind felt like a warning. She reached a clearing and took a breath, trying to calm her racing heart. That's when she saw it again, a shadow moving in the distance. The stranger, she realized, was following her. But why? Her mind raced with possibilities. Was he dangerous? Or was he here to help? She had learned long ago that the forest was unpredictable. Animals could attack without warning, and people could be cruel. She could not trust easily, but curiosity burned inside her. Who was this human? And why did he seem different? The river was still far, but she moved faster, careful not to spill the precious water she needed. Every step felt heavier than before, not just because of the pot, but because of the unknown behind her. She felt eyes on her, even when she could not see anyone. The forest whispered secrets, and she shivered, sensing danger in every shadow. Finally, she reached the riverbank. The familiar silver water glimmered in the morning light. Relief filled her chest, but it did not erase the tension. She filled her pot slowly, glancing around nervously. And then she saw him closer now, stepping out from the trees. Calm but alert, his eyes met hers. No words were spoken, but something in his gaze told her he was not like the others she had feared in the forest. For the first time, Amina felt a mix of fear and hope. She did not know who he was or what he wanted, but she sensed that her life and perhaps her mother's was about to change. Something told her that today, the forest would reveal secrets she had never imagined. Amina's hands trembled as she lifted the water-filled pot. The weight felt heavier today, as if the forest itself was pressing down on her. The stranger's eyes had followed her from the edge of the trees, but he said nothing. She did not know whether to trust him or run, so she chose neither. She moved carefully, step by step, toward home. The forest seemed alive in a way it never had before. Every branch that snapped, every rustle in the leaves made her heart jump. Birds flew overhead, their cries sharp and urgent. A distant growl echoed through the trees. Amina froze. The sound was low, deep, and it came from nowhere she could see. Her instincts screamed danger. She took a cautious step forward. The stranger moved silently beside her, his glowing device illuminating small patches of the path. She tried to keep her eyes on the trail, but shadows danced everywhere. She had walked this path hundreds of times, yet today, it felt like a trap. Suddenly, the ground beneath her shifted. A rotten branch snapped under her weight, sending her stumbling forward. She gripped the water pot tightly, holding it above her head. A low hiss came from the underbrush, sharp and sudden. A wild creature large, with glowing eyes, stepped out onto the path. Its teeth gleamed in the dim light. Amina froze. Her mind raced. The forest had never been this quiet before. The stranger stepped forward calmly, holding the glowing device. A soft hum filled the air. The creature paused, its head tilting, curious and cautious. The stranger's device emitted a faint pulse, and the creature backed off slightly, growling. But not attacking. Amina's heart pounded so loudly she thought the creature could hear it. She realized she had been holding her breath, and now she finally exhaled slowly. The stranger did not speak, but his calm presence gave her a strange sense of safety. She moved a step back, then another, careful not to make a sound. The creature's glowing eyes followed every movement. Amina's mind flashed with images of her mother, waiting at home, too weak to survive without water. She could not turn back. Not now. Her courage, small but fierce, pushed her forward. She followed the stranger as he led the way, guiding her. Through the thickets and around dangerous roots, they reached a narrow path beside a small cliff. The ground was loose, and one misstep could send her tumbling down. The creature prowled nearby, its eyes fixed on them. Amina's fingers tightened around the pot. She felt the stranger's calm determination behind her. Without words, he motioned for her to stay close and move slowly. Step by step, they crossed the cliff path. Each movement was deliberate, each breath controlled. The creature's growl followed them, but the stranger's device kept it at bay. Amina's mind was a whirlwind of fear and awe. She had never felt danger this close, never felt the forest this alive. Finally, they reached a safer area where the trees thinned and sunlight broke through the leaves. The creature lingered at the edge, watching, but did not follow. Amina's knees shook as relief washed over her. She had survived the closest danger of her life, and she had done it with the stranger's help. She looked at him for the first time properly. His face was calm, almost unreadable. She did not know his name, or why he was here, or if she would ever see him again. But one thing was clear: without him, she might never have returned from the forest alive. As they moved forward, deeper into the safety of the light, Amina realized that her journey to the river would never be the same. Something had changed. The forest had grown more dangerous, yes, but something else had entered her life, something human. Something that could change everything. And yet, she could not shake the feeling that the forest was not done with her. Not yet. The next day, Amina woke before dawn, her mind heavy with the memory of yesterday. The forest had felt alive in a way she had never known. Danger seemed to lurk behind every shadow. And then there was the stranger. His calm presence, his glowing device, the way he had faced the creature without fear. Amina could not forget him. She tied her shoes and lifted her clay pot. Her mother coughed softly in the corner of their small hut. Amina swallowed her fear and stepped into the cool morning air. The path to the river was the same, yet she knew it would not feel the same. The forest waited, dark and silent, as if holding its breath. A rustle behind a bush made her freeze. Her heart thumped loudly, and she clutched the pot tightly. Out stepped the stranger. He was closer than before, his device glowing faintly in the morning mist. For a moment, neither spoke. His eyes scanned the forest, then landed on her. There was no hostility, only calm observation. "Who are you?" Amina asked, her voice barely above a whisper. The stranger tilted his head slightly but did not answer. Instead, he gestured for her to follow him. Amina hesitated, unsure if she should trust him. Her instincts screamed caution. Yet, something in his gaze, the quiet determination, the careful watchfulness, made her step forward. Together, they walked through the forest. Amina noticed things she had never seen before. strange plants that glowed faintly, rocks with patterns, carved as if by some ancient hand. The forest was alive in a way she had never known. The stranger moved with ease, stepping lightly, almost like he belonged here. Suddenly, a sharp sound broke the quiet. A branch snapped nearby, and a shadow moved fast across the path. Amina's heart jumped. The stranger immediately raised his device, sending out a soft pulse of light. The shadow froze, then retreated silently into the trees. "Saved me," Amina said, her voice shaky. He nodded once, silently. Then, without warning, he began walking faster, guiding her along a hidden path. Amina struggled to keep up, her fear mixing with curiosity. Who was he? How did he know the forest so well? And why was he helping her? They reached a small clearing, where the sunlight fell in golden beams. The river was visible from here, glimmering in the morning light. Relief flooded Amina, but it was mixed with unease. "Why are you helping me?" she asked again. The stranger finally spoke, his voice low and calm. "The forest, it watches. You are brave, but not ready for what is coming." Amina frowned. "What do you mean?" "I just want water for my mother." He looked at her, his eyes serious. "You will need more than courage soon. There are things in this forest, things that are not human. You cannot face them alone." Amina's mind raced. She had already faced danger, yet this warning made the forest feel larger, darker, and more threatening. And yet, there was a strange comfort in knowing she was not entirely alone. She filled her pot at the river quickly, her hands trembling slightly. The stranger watched silently, scanning the shadows. Then, just as suddenly as he had appeared, he turned and walked back toward the trees, motioning for her to follow. For the first time, Amina realized that this journey was no longer just about water for her mother. It was about survival, about learning to face the forest in ways she never had, and about understanding the stranger, whose presence promised hope and danger at the same time. As they walked back along the narrow path, Amina kept glancing at him. She did not know his name, his purpose, or the secrets he carried. But deep down, she sensed that meeting him had changed everything. And somewhere deep in the forest, hidden eyes watched them, patient and silent, as if waiting for the right moment to strike. Amina's legs ached as she followed the stranger through the forest. The path was narrow, overgrown with thick roots and vines that seemed to reach out to trip her. Her clay pot was heavy, but she held it tight. Each step felt more dangerous than the last, yet she could not stop. Her mother waited, and now so did the stranger. The stranger moved ahead confidently, his glowing device casting soft light over the shadows. Amina noticed how carefully he avoided the broken branches and hidden pits. Every movement he made was deliberate. It was clear he knew the forest better than anyone she had ever met. For the first time, she realized she was not alone in this dangerous world. "Who are you?" she asked, trying to keep her voice steady. The stranger glanced at her but did not answer immediately. Instead, he pointed to a strange plant with luminescent leaves. "Stay close," he said finally. "Some things here react to movement." Amina nodded, stepping carefully. Her heart raced as they moved through the thick underbrush. Every rustle, every whisper of the wind made her jump. Yet, she began to notice something about the stranger. He did not just protect himself, he protected her. The glowing device seemed to respond to his movements, creating a shield of light that pushed shadows and hidden dangers away. Suddenly, a low growl echoed from the trees ahead. Amina froze. From the darkness, a pack of creatures emerged, their eyes glowing in the dim morning light. They were larger than any wild animal she had seen, their movements swift and predatory. Her breath caught in her throat. She was terrified. The stranger moved between her and the creatures. He lifted his device higher, and a pulse of bright light shot out, forcing the creatures to retreat slightly. "Move," he commanded. Amina followed his lead, stepping carefully yet quickly through the underbrush. The path was treacherous. Roots twisted underfoot, and loose stones made every step a challenge. Amina stumbled, almost dropping her pot. The stranger caught her arm. "Steadying her. Careful," he whispered. There was no judgment in his voice, only focus. For the first time, Amina felt a strange trust growing between them. They reached a narrow cliffside, where the forest opened to a small valley below. The creatures had not followed, but their glowing eyes could still be seen in the distance. Amina's chest heaved as she tried to calm herself. The stranger did not speak. He simply held out a hand, motioning for her to follow him down a safer route he had discovered. Step by step they descended. The stranger guided her carefully, pointing out hidden dangers and helping her avoid loose rocks. She began to realize something important. She could not have survived this forest alone. She needed him. And he, in turn, seemed to need her courage, her determination to keep going despite fear. By the time they reached a calmer part of the forest, Amina's fear had lessened slightly. The stranger finally spoke again. "You are brave," he said. "But bravery alone will not keep you alive. You must learn. You must watch, listen, and move with the forest, not against it." Amina nodded, understanding for the first time that survival was more than courage. It was strategy, patience, and trust. She realized that she and the stranger had formed an alliance, whether by choice or necessity. Together, they were stronger than they could be alone. As they continued toward the river, the forest seemed quieter, but the shadows were not gone. Somewhere deeper, something watched. And Amina knew that danger was far from over. Yet, for the first time, she felt a small spark of hope. She was not alone. She had an ally. And together, perhaps they could face whatever this forest had in store. The forest seemed quieter than usual that morning, but Amina knew better. Silence in these woods was never a good sign. She tightened her grip on the heavy clay pot and followed the stranger, whose glowing device lit the narrow path ahead. Every step brought her closer to home and closer to the unknown danger that waited. The path narrowed as they approached a steep ravine. Amina's stomach twisted at the sight. One misstep and she could fall into the chasm below. The stranger moved ahead, steady and confident, his device pulsing softly to reveal hidden dangers. "Stay close," he said, his voice calm but firm. "We must move carefully." A sudden rustle came from above. Amina froze. Rocks tumbled down the side of the ravine, hitting the ground dangerously close. The sound of heavy, unnatural breathing filled the air. She felt her heart pound in her chest. Something large and fast was moving above them, something unlike any creature she had seen before. Before she could react, a massive shadow leapt from the trees. A creature larger than a bear, with glowing eyes and razor-sharp claws, landed on the path ahead, blocking their way. It growled, a sound that shook the ground beneath Amina's feet. She stepped back, nearly losing her balance and almost dropping the pot. The stranger moved instantly, raising his device. A bright pulse shot out, forcing the creature to hesitate. Its eyes glowed brighter, and it growled again, clearly angry. "Move!" the stranger shouted. Amina's legs shook, but she followed, stepping over twisted roots and loose rocks. The creature lunged, and she barely ducked in time, feeling the air rush past her head. Her mind raced. She had faced danger before, but never like this. The forest seemed alive, conspiring against her. Every step required focus, courage, and quick thinking. The stranger moved beside her, guiding her silently. Each pulse of light from his device pushed the creature back, giving them a small window to advance. The path led to a fallen tree that formed a bridge over the ravine. Amina's hands shook as she climbed onto it. The log wobbled under her weight. Below, the ravine seemed bottomless. The creature was close behind, its growls echoing off the rocks. The stranger was already on the log, motioning for her to follow. Step by step, Amina moved across, balancing the pot carefully. The log creaked and shifted. The creature lunged, catching the edge with its claws, shaking the bridge violently. Amina stumbled, her heart in her throat. She froze. The stranger reached out and grabbed her arm, steadying her. "Keep moving," he shouted with one final push of courage. Amina crossed the log, landing safely on the other side. The creature snarled, pacing at the edge of the ravine, unable to follow. Her knees buckled as relief washed over her. She had survived. Barely. The stranger turned to her, his eyes serious but calm. "You are stronger than you think," he said. "But there are greater dangers ahead. You must stay alert." Amina nodded, still catching her breath. She realized that the forest had tested her, not just her bravery, but her focus, her patience, and her trust in someone else. Without the stranger, she would not have survived this challenge. As they continued toward home, the forest seemed quieter now, but Amina knew better than to let her guard down. Shadows lingered in the distance, and unseen eyes watched their every move. Yet, for the first time, she felt a new strength inside her. She had faced the forest's deadliest challenge yet, and survived. But the stranger's warning lingered. In her mind, the forest was not done with them. Not yet. The forest seemed calmer that evening, but Amina knew better. Silence could be as dangerous as any creature. She held her clay pot tightly, feeling its weight as a reminder of the journey she had endured. Her mother's health depended on this water, and every step she took brought her closer to hope. The stranger walked beside her, moving silently, his glowing device casting faint light across the trees. For the first time, Amina looked at him closely. His face was calm, unreadable, but there was something gentle in his eyes, a quiet determination that reassured her. He had guided her through dangers she could not have faced alone, yet he spoke little of himself. "Will we make it?" Amina asked softly, her voice breaking the quiet. The stranger glanced at her, then back to the path. "We will," he said simply, "but you must keep your courage. The forest is not finished testing you." Amina nodded, gripping her pot tighter. Every sound made her flinch, the rustle of leaves, the crack of distant branches, but she kept moving. She had learned to watch, to listen, to trust the stranger and her instincts. Together, they were stronger. As the riverbank came into view, Amina felt relief flood her chest. The silver water shimmered in the fading light. She knelt and filled the pot carefully, thinking of her mother waiting at home. Each drop felt precious, a small victory against the dangers of the forest. But before she could rise, a faint rustle came from the trees. She froze, heart pounding. The forest had been unpredictable, and she knew better than to let her guard down. The stranger stepped between her and the shadows, holding his device steady. A moment passed. Then a small figure emerged, not a creature, not a threat, but another human, watching from a distance. The stranger's eyes narrowed, and Amina felt a shiver of unease. Yet, she realized that the forest had changed her. She was no longer the frightened. She was alert, careful, and brave. The stranger motioned for her to follow him, and they left the riverbank together. Each step felt lighter now, filled with cautious relief. Amina realized something important. She had survived not because the dangers had gone away, and she had done so with an warm light spilled over the village, painting the huts in gold. Amina's heart leapt. Her mother was there, weak but smiling as she saw her daughter return safely. She ran forward, careful not to spill the precious water, and hugged her mother tightly. "Water," Amina whispered, offering the pot. Her mother's eyes glistened with relief. For the first time in weeks, hope returned to their small home. The stranger stood at the edge of the trees, watching silently. Amina looked at him, wanting to ask his name, to thank him properly. But before she could, he turned and disappeared into the shadows, leaving no trace but the faint glow of his device. Amina's heart ached with questions. Who was he? Why had he helped her? Would she ever see him again? She did not know. But she understood something vital. The forest was full of mysteries, but courage, determination, and trust could carry her through. That night, as Amina sat beside her mother, she felt a spark of hope. The journey had been dangerous, the forest had tested her, and she had faced challenges she never imagined. But she had survived. And she had learned that even in the darkest places, there could be light unexpected, mysterious, and powerful, somewhere. Deep in the forest, the stranger watched. And though his purpose remained unknown, one thing was certain. Amina's life, and perhaps the forest itself, would never be the same again.